Okay, now, in the last couple of videos, I've been talking a lot about these guys. I still have work to do on them, and some sanding and painting and touch-ups. So I'm going to set those guys aside for right now. And while these were curing, the little window pieces were curing, I went ahead and started doing some more work on the other pieces. Now, this is one of the larger elements, and you can see here now on the back I have painted kind of this. I came in with a I think it was called Ocean Breeze, and painted in this kind of starbursty kind of pattern. It does kind of look like a pot leaf right now. I understand that. The reason I did this is because this will be placed here, and then this is going to go on the bottom, so it'll be like this. You'll be able to see it. I'm not going to cut it or anything. But I just felt as though this just plain teal, greeny kind of turquoise, yeah, it's not teal, it's turquoise, was just not enough. So I did this to create a little bit, I painted this to create a little bit more visual interest. Now, I can hear you saying, why did I paint all this? Because I had to. I just couldn't not do it. So I did it. I knew it wasn't going to be seen. And I've put one coat of matte sealant, a thin coat, just to cover it. I also did a second coat in here. I have some little touch-ups to do in here, and I need to address this thing right here. You can see it. I just need to get in there with a file and get rid of it. Now, the big thing I did that I'm really like, there are rare times that I look at something and I'm like, wow, I am really proud of myself. This is one of those times. You can see I've gone through and added some shading where the little shingles overlap one another. And then I did a little bit of blending out. And I've done 2 of the steps that are possibly 4 that I want to do. I'm going to come in with this paint, this slightly darker teal. This is getting into more of a blue-green. This is the turquoise. And what I did was I just added some blue, some bright, intense, like cerulean blue to the turquoise, and then watered it a bit, and then came in with a really tiny brush and went into the tiny little cracks there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with a shade darker of this, so it's a little bit more blue. And because I did it originally with like this size brush, and I can't tell you what size that is, because I tend to just purchase sets of acrylic brushes that are, you know, $8 and under. But I have a liner brush that I love liner brushes. This one is not fabulous. I wish I had a better one, but you know, I'm gonna work with what I got. I have this one plus this one right here, which, believe it or not, I can actually get some pretty decent work out of, some line work out of. So basically what I do is I come in and I add a little bit and I wipe some of it away. Now, it adds a really nice dimensional effect, and when my husband was looking at it this morning, he said it was reminding him of Howard Johnson restaurants, like in the 60s, 50s and 60s, and into the early 70s, because Howard Johnson's, affectionately known as Hojo's, were like the place where you stopped and there was a restaurant and a motel and you could stay there. But these were their colors. So it's nice that I'm kind of hitting that plus the Fisher-Price kind of element to it. I also went in and added yellow to this bottom piece. And yes, I still know I need to do some touch-up work here. I have been hemming and hawing between orange and yellow, and I went with the yellow. And for right now, it's just going to stay yellow. And it is one of the reasons I did the yellow is because if I did decide I wanted to do it orange, this is an easy cover up. Because the shade of orange I want would be more of a buttery kind of mango orange. Does that make sense? So I have a little bit more work to do here. Plus, if I can find them, I've figured out how I want to do my attachments here. I'm actually going to, and part of it was because I was photographing some pieces for my online portfolio that is now up if you want to look at it, in which I had built some, for some bunk beds, I built some little ladders, and what I had done was made very tiny little holes. I've got a pin vise, so I can make tiny little holes, and I inserted a peg, a tiny little peg made out of a toothpick, and I'll figure out where I want it mounted, and then I'll mount it this way onto the piece. And I know that seems like a lot of work, and I'm covering up other things that I've done, but this is going to go on here. It just is. So this is one of those times where, again, I think in the last video I said something like, though people will say, oh, I liked it better when you had it the other way. I didn't like this color. I don't like how you painted that. This is another reason why one of the many reasons why I'm not really posting on Instagram anymore. I don't need to hear that. I second guess myself, quite enough. So I do what I do. This is my work, not yours, not theirs. And I'm going to make it how I want to make it. You want to make artwork? You are free to go and make your own. So that's where I am on that piece. And then part of the reason I had all that yellow was that I had started putting this, I was continuing to paint these stairs, and I was getting increasingly frustrated with the fact that no matter how much yellow I was putting on here, I was still seeing shadows underneath, shadows of other layers. Even though there was 4 coats of white paint, I'm still seeing them. So I got frustrated yesterday, and I just decided, you know what, we're going to go back to square one. And I mixed up, and I used all of it. I just let the little bits dry in here. I mixed up, you can see there's some white in there. It was probably like a 70-30, 60-40 white and yellow. And I thought, worst case scenario, I put 2 coats on it, and this should cover it up. And if it doesn't, I'm just going to have to go buy a more expensive, more highly pigmented yellow paint. But at least it'll be covered, because I kept seeing these shadows coming through here. Now, this is originally carton board, and I had coated it. I'd sanded it, and I coated it with white, and I still kept seeing shadows in here. And it was making me so angry. But I put the 1 coat on, and it looked pretty good, and then I put a 2nd coat on, and I'm like, okay, I kind of like this. And as you can see, I used some red paint and hit the hearts here with the red paint. And I'm going to call it. With the exception of doing more paint work and decoration on it. And then I think the inside of the closet, I want to make a different color, which then will also mean the inside of the door will be a different color. And then once the door is finished and everything's sealed with varnish, the matte varnish I like, then I will put this in. Now, I also put together a little chair because I kept thinking I kept thinking I wanted to put a tiny little chair in here. So I needed to have something that was small enough that would fit in here. So I made this little mock-up. And it's got some problems. First of all, it's not straight. Second of all, I kind of put these on as an afterthought, whereas in what I now know what I want to make in the future, these are more incorporated into the overall design of the chair. There's some things I like about it, some things I don't like about it. But like I said, I just made this as a little mock-up because the paint job is just, ooh, yikes. It is not a good paint job. To see whether I liked it or not, or I liked the element. Because in this piece here, I intend on having pieces of furniture in here. So I wanted to see what was going to work and what wasn't. And the size is pretty good. I may increase it by like 2 millimeters just because I really want it to fit well. And like I said, I'm going to change the design of this. I want more of a curved appearance here. Oh, a curved appearance here. Put this here if I can get that. The chair is so tiny. So yeah, this is this was my mock-up, and I used, instead of using the super thin regular size barbecue, or not barbecue, bamboo, I used the one that was like 3 to 4 millimeter for this, and I like that. I like the sturdiness of it. But then here I kind of like, I was just working with whatever I could lay my hands on at the immediate moment, and these are way too thin. These are about 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters, and it's just way too thin. So I need to do some combination work in here with some toothpicks, and because there's toothpicks in the back and there's some little toothpicks there. You guys know what my favorite stuff is to work with. So I'm going to redesign this as well. So I have something that's a little bit better, and I can now actually really start thinking about what I want to do here and what color I want to do in here. And then this wall, because this is going to have something on it as well. So that's kind of where I am right now. I'm part of me is really digging the size differences between things. It's one of those things as a kid, as a child, you've undoubtedly been somewhere, returned to it for the first time since you were a child, and it's like, wow, I remember this place as being much bigger. Well, one of the reasons it was much bigger is because you were much smaller. So there's something about the playing around with the size differences of things that I'm kind of liking right now. And I'm also going to be playing with how do I put it? I have a bizarre fascination, and it actually extends from Fisher-Price Toys, of portions of things that are walled off, but then you can see them, but you can't touch them. Does that make sense? I'm thinking of like the types of toys, like I had a Fisher-Price, I always called it the Pop-O-Matic. It had a little stick and some little wheels on it, and you rolled it along, and it made little poppy things, and the little balls inside of it fascinated me because you could see them, but you couldn't touch them. Or those charm balls with the little goosey things on the inside. I loved those, and I always wanted to break one open and see what was on the inside. But the thing is, when you break it open, then you ruin it. There's something in there, a concept I'm trying to tease out, and I'm sure it has to do with the self, the mind, interpreting myself in a larger context within the world, blah blah blah, boo be doo be doo. But you know what everyone else will see? Ooh, that looks like a Howard Johnson's. Ooh, that looks like Fisher-Price. Anywho. Somebody will say, you do know that these are Pennsylvania Dutch, and you shouldn't be copying these. That's another one that I get too. Anywho, so these are all the things that I'm going to be working on, and I have hopefully will be exhibiting this piece and as to be yet finished piece and the previous piece, the Blue House, in a show coming up in November. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being my patrons, and I will see you in the next video.